Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure and honor to invite these distinguished panelists from space industry and academics to have the session, The Future Space Economy and the Role of Entrepreneur. There is no doubt nowadays is the time for space business. So before that, there was a investment from the government solely, but nowadays the civilian commercial investment is started. Let me introduce speakers. The Vice President of Korea Aerospace Industry, Kai Chang-hyun-han. He has many experiences of satellite development. Yep. And head of Asia Pacific, the Airbus Defense and Space. He is very expert on various areas of space businesses in Europe and Asia. Yeah, his name is Johan Pellissier. Yeah. And founder and executive chairman of Axiom Space, Kam Gaparian. He is a very creative and challenging spirit entrepreneur. He is the front runner in commercial space business. For example, last April, Axiom launched world first all-civilian commercial crew to International Space Station using the space capsule Crew Dragon AX-1. Yes, let me introduce the Kam Gaparian. And founder and president of Mars Society, Dr. Robert Juberin. He is the pioneer of Mars exploration. His argument of direct low-cost Mars mission through producing oxygen, water, and fuel using Martian atmosphere, which affect very much on later NASA's Mars exploration concept. Yeah, Dr. Robert Juberin. Yeah. Okay, let's start question and answer. During the answering, you could ask each other and discuss. First question is that the space economy is ever growing nowadays. Its size is around $450 billion, same as the world semiconductor market. And recently, it has annually 4.4% growth in the year 2020. Why is recently space economy is getting bigger and growing fast? This question goes to Vice President Chang-hyun-han. Yeah, first.
Yeah, everybody, as you know that the space market accessibility has been relatively easy if we compare that of in the past. I guess it's because we just started reuse the rocket, and it drives the dramatic cost reduction to go into the space. That will be the major driving factor for growing space economy. And also in case of the advanced and developed countries like US and Europe, they invested a lot during Cold War for the space technology, but this has been accumulated a lot, and now these technologies are utilized for commercial purposes also, And also the convergence with the data science, I guess the new needs has been generated for that matter. And also, according to our experience, any people start relying on space asset for collecting data, they should keep relying on space asset because it's quite easy and accurate data collection, And also if we consider that matter, this kind of move, the booming up is not a temporary, because we expect the replacement needs, and also we can expect new emerging needs. I guess this change is kind of accumulative, so that's the reason it's just starting of the booming up of space economy. I guess regardless of the economic crisis, it will continue booming up. That's what I guess.
Okay, thank. And also, we want to hear from the Airbus head of Asia Pacific, the Johan Pellissier. Do you have some interesting slide? Yeah. Okay. Let's have a look together. Yeah.
Distinguished guests, distinguished panelists, well, it's a pleasure for me to be back to Seoul and given the opportunity to give you a snapshot of about space economics, especially at Airbus. I was wondering those past few days how I will start this keynote. And actually, when I just landed in Incheon Airport, I went through a number of pictures, and I was on this one, and I say, okay, why not? It's actually not a picture taken from the nice Airbus A350 I was flying in, but this is a picture from a satellite. And I think what is quite new as well, and a game changer in space economics, is that this picture is actually collected not from a constellation of satellite which has been funded as we used to be by our institutions or our customers, but this is coming from Pléiades Neo satellites, which is a 100% funded constellation from Airbus. So I would like to show a small video to illustrate where we are at now with Pléiades Neo. So Airbus is not only a supplier of satellite, part of Ariane Safran to launch also vehicles into space, but we have been a leading provider of satellite imagery in the past 30 years, meaning that we are actually operating a constellation of satellites with over a dozen of sensors, radar, optical, which acquire several images per day at various resolutions and with different swaths. Back in 1986, our very first Spot 1 satellite, which was at the time funded by, indeed, our institution in Europe, was able to observe a given site every 5 days at 20-meter resolution. In less than 30 years after, we are launching a constellation at 30-centimeter resolution. Since the successful launch of the first 2 satellites of Pléiades Neo last year, we have been orbiting safely the Earth at 620 kilometers, and we have already taken in less than a year 800,000 images, including over Ukraine, at 30-centimeter resolution. We have registered a very strong dynamics with more than 60 customers already, having benefited from this constellation. And of course, we'll not stop there. We have 2 satellites of the same class waiting in our premises in France, in Toulouse, to be shipped as we speak, in order to be launched at the end of November this year. And it will give a massive acquisition up to 2 million kilometers square per day, and which will also benefit from laser communication in order to have a reactive tasking and download. So we have been working hard in order to give this possibility to the commercial market, and this has been a 100% investment from Airbus based on a business case for this type of new business. At Airbus, we love engaging with countries as they develop their space ambitions, and I think to come back to the very first questions of the moderator here from Kari, the more players we have in the game of space, the better it will get. And what is important and what we are seeing is a lower barrier of entry into space. And this is valid everywhere in the world. In South Korea, we have witnessed the rapid evolution of the space industry. We have been pleased to supply end-to-end satellite platforms to many countries, including South Korea. But now, we are very proud to equally participate to this national space ecosystem development, be it with industrial partners such as Sky or other institutions in country. And this is also thanks to an adaptation of our business model where we can supply key components, payloads, and position ourselves where we have an added value in a specific country in order to grow the economics in that country. So this has been the case over the past 30 years in South Korea and in many other countries worldwide. I will stop there, otherwise we'll not have a time to go through all other questions. But what I want to highlight here with Pléiades Neo is that it's not necessary now to have a satellite of this type in order to access such services. And we give the autonomy and the reactivity for countries to access our own constellation. And we are encouraging any partner or countries to actually enrich this constellation, today of 4 satellites, but the more satellites we are putting in the low orbit, the more revisit we will have, and the more services then we can generate even further to the people participating in the constellation with us and to our customers at the end of the day. So that's an illustration of a new business model that I wanted to share with you as part of the space economics. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Yep. Thank you for your interesting presentations. Mr. Han insisted that the nowadays booming of space economy is due to the accumulation of the technologies from the Cold War years. Yeah? For example, the Airbus, you showed us the images and satellite. That's the intelligent technologies and military technologies. But Airbus converted the technology into the commercial civilian technologies. That's not the reason why nowadays the booming of the space economies. Yeah. Not the whole, it cannot explain the whole thing, but it's part of the reason, I think. Okay, let's go to the second question. Recently in the world, many startups are emerging, and typically in United States, millionaires from Silicon Valley are investing space industries like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and here in Kam Gaparian, and also Richard Branson, etc. Why do they start to invest on space industries? What will be the effect on space economy and industries? Executive Chairman Kam Gaparian, do we have? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. I'll just elaborate a little bit in terms of what my thoughts are personally. I personally have about 40 years of experience in space, overall supporting mostly NASA programs. And so for me, it was more about the passion of space exploration that drove me to create 3 commercial space companies. One is Axiom Space, where we're building the first private commercial space station to be launched in 2024. The second one is Intuitive Machines, where we're building moon landers. In fact, we will be the first commercial space company that will be landing on the surface of the moon March of next year and taking many payloads, all first of a kind, first drill on the surface of the moon, first hopper on the surface of the moon, first 4G network with Nokia on the surface of the moon, as well as quantum space, which we're building the first robotic outpost at L1, this is the Lagrange point between moon and Earth, where the 2 gravities neutralize each other. So outside of the altruistic reasons, and I think human need for exploration and pioneering and frontiering, I think there is also a huge market that is growing. And that market, that need, I think drives the growth of the space economy. And also with the new technologies, we can do some amazing things that we couldn't do before. And I think as a result of that, the space economy is growing by leaps and bounds. Let me just elaborate on a couple of things. We're going to be launching our space station in 2024. We're going to be creating a new, I would call LEO, low Earth orbit ecosystem that did not exist. We're not only being able to take private astronauts to space, like we did earlier this year, but also create or enable new technologies to prosper in orbit. If you can imagine maybe uploading a 3D print to a space station where you can, in fact, print a satellite in orbit and launching it from there, or in the areas such as printing corneas and retinas in space and returning it back to Earth, and doing cloud in space, even satellite repair and satellite refueling. I think all of these drives the market just on the LEO, right? National security reasons and other reasons, as you know, the United States and Space Force is growing. The same thing, I think, in China, the same thing in Russia and Europe. So I think with all of these things happening, the other part of it that I would add to it is the entrepreneurs getting into orbit, such as Elon Musk, by reducing the cost of transportation to go to space, or in my case with Axiom Space, basically providing commercial space station, no longer a government project, and U.S. government has decided they no longer want to be a landlord, they want to be a tenant. In other words, buy services for commercial sectors. So I think all of these and the role of entrepreneurs is driving the space economy, and I would say it's about time, because that's what I'm passionate about, and it's sort of exciting. And I would say not only we should take care of our home due to all the climate change issues and everything else, we should find new homes in stars. And all of these are really intermediary steps to be able for humankind ultimately to go to stars.
Okay, thank you very much. And then this question goes to the Dr. Robert Juberin. And the areas of space industries are various. Even we did not think about it before, such as space mining, space manufacturing, and space tourism, and coping with weather changes, etc. Can we expect more? And what are other areas promising near future? Do you have opinions?
Yeah. Well, we're opening up a new frontier, and all kinds of things are going to be possible beyond the sorts of things that people talk about now. Although I think some of the things that people talk about now, such as orbital research labs that Axiom Space is working on, I think that's really going to happen. And I think very important discoveries are going to be made taking advantage of the environment of zero gravity and hard vacuum and things like this. But I think there's going to be much more discoveries than that. You know, Christopher Columbus sold Queen Isabella of Spain on financing his ships to America, promising her that he'd find a spice route to India, which would have had commercial value. Now, he didn't find that. He did find some countries the Spanish were able to get some gold out of, but that was not really the important result of his voyage. The important result of his voyage was a whole bunch of new countries, which have been tremendously creative. And I'll say my own, okay, America, you know, pioneered in democracy and steamboats and telegraphs and electric light bulbs, recorded sound, motion pictures, nuclear power, the internet, and now commercial space. And you know, this is how it has helped. Now, we go out into space. There's going to be new nations on Mars, new nations, new languages, new political systems, and many, many contributions to science and technology they'll be forced to invent, okay, in order to create the technologies that allow people to live and prosper on Mars, that allow them to take the materials on Mars and turn them into resources, okay? There's no such thing as natural materials. There's only natural materials. There's no such thing as natural resources. There's only natural materials. It's human ingenuity that turns materials into resources, okay? You know, in 1960, the Philippines was a much richer country than Korea. And someone looking at the two countries might have said, well, the Philippines is much richer in natural resources than Korea. Well, now Korea is much richer than the Philippines, not because the Philippines have gone back. They haven't. They've gone forward some. But Korea managed to figure out how to create resources in a place where it didn't look like there were any. Well, the Martians are going to have even a harder job, but they will rise to it, okay? And yes, so there'll be technologies created by people once they're in space because they'll be forced to invent. And furthermore, there'll be discoveries made of immense importance. You know, most of what we know about physics we learned through astronomy. Classical physics, law of gravitation, significant amount of electromagnetism, relativity, nuclear fusion, were all discovered through astronomy. Well, there's a lot more things waiting to be discovered, and the best place to do astronomy is space. And now with cheap space launch, which is going to get cheaper, the more activity of the type that companies like Axiom do, the more launches there will be, the more launchers there will be, the more markets there will be for accelerating the advance of space launch. The cheaper space launch gets, the more markets there's going to be. Go to Mars. Okay, I think we're going to find life on Mars because the early Mars and the early Earth were twins. They were both warm, wet carbon planets with carbon dioxide dominated atmospheres. And chemicals on Earth under those conditions manage to complexify themselves into self-replicating systems that we call life. And there's reasons why it should be carbon and water and certain other things that are basic to life be the chemicals that do that, but there's no reason why the particular information system that life adapted on Earth, DNA and RNA, the alphabet of life on Earth, should be the alphabet of life everywhere any more than the Latin alphabets that we and the French use should be the alphabet that all people use. You use a completely different alphabet here in Korea, and they use even a more different one in China. And so we're going to discover new kinds of biochemistry, new kinds of self-replicating systems that will lead to revolutions in bioengineering. So there's incredible things waiting to be discovered, but just as the things that were discovered in America went way beyond Columbus's route to India, even if he had discovered a route to India, it wouldn't have compared at all to the discoveries that were made in America once there were technological cultures there. Anyway, that's my answer.
Okay, thank you very much. And then I will ask to all panelists, this is the main and most important question. Many countries hope expanding space economy and creating many jobs. What is the suitable strategy for developing countries such as Korea? And also, what is the best strategy for developed and underdeveloped countries? Yeah, from Dr. Han, yeah, Vice President Han, yeah.
Yeah, when I was struggling for qualification of new satellite, I just thought that why do we need to repeat these kind of troubles, when we newly qualify a new satellite, I guess that we can find a way to reduce the duplicated effort for any company or any nation for new development. I guess that the easiest way will be, to build kind of standard, for installation, mechanical, interface or electronic interface for payload. Then I guess, the CubeSat market, every part has been, easily viable because of its quite standard parts. If we can treat, those technical parts, to be treated as the standard part, then I guess we can have the more, fertile, we can have the more active market. Yeah, we can be more involved in the space industry easily. The level of technology is cannot be balanced between the countries and between companies. So I guess at the end of the collaboration, level of the satisfaction cannot be same. So I guess that if we can, if we can make a success to make this kind of market successfully, then we can utilize what we made already by the developed countries. We can use that. Developing country can use that, and then also we can expand the global market as well. That's what I hope as a member of the involved in space industry. That will be my dream. It will not be easy journey, but we must keep focus on we must not allow some newcomer to repeat the same troubles what we already have done. We need to make be smart to reduce the overall global cost to be well balanced and well developed for the space area. That's what I suggest.
Okay, thank you very much. So we better follow the developing countries' way to reduce our mistakes. Yeah, and then also we try to find a niche market for developing countries. Okay, Okay, you. Yeah,
No, I
can you
think
share? Yeah.
what I would
Yeah.
like to build on is when I see the audience today, I think it's also about talents is a common strategy for all countries, be it underdeveloped or developed. It's to invest in the talents they have, because at the end of the day, space is about innovation, space is about, and we have seen that with the new players and the new space players, it's lowering the barrier to entry, so any country can contribute and build its own space ecosystem, provided that they create enough patience and that at the very young age already we can go into doing space that matters and space different type of missions. We have seen, I have seen in Asia, I have been the past 15 years in Asia, a tremendous change. Space was, I would say, reserved to countries which I considered already developed, typically Korea, Japan, Singapore started also the journey quite some time ago, but now everywhere, including in Southeast Asia, you see universities going into building some missions, and I think I truly believe that when you have then the talent plus the spirit of collaboration, then it will make the full world and economies progress into a common goal, which is doing space that matters.
Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to just add a couple of other things. I think what Robert was saying earlier is that we're in a new sort of frontier, in a new place. We haven't even imagined all the new businesses and new technologies that's going to be flourish in space. If you can imagine early days of internet, we couldn't have imagined everything that internet is going today. Today, with our iPhone, we control everything, from our flight plans to our calendars to schedule, everything else. So there is going to be incredible new ecosystem that's going to be developed. I just wanted to just provide a couple of examples of how developing countries and even maybe third world countries can be engaged in the space economy. The space station we're developing, we're going to basically selling infrastructure as a service. So if you're doing fiber optics, let's say if you're doing cloud in space, let's say you're doing communication, optical communication. I mean, these are not necessarily space technologies. These are technologies that Singapore and Korea and other countries have today, right? And just like iPhone, where the infrastructure was created, and then people developed apps that connected to that platform, if you will, we're creating a platform where many new technologies can connect to it, right? So if, let's say, Korea is into optical communication or laser communication or any of these different technologies, or biomedical, you know, STEM research, you know, all of these kind of thing, pharmaceuticals, right? I mean, we've teamed with an incredible company in Korea called Maekyung, where they're in pharmaceutical and we're doing things like care in space. So these are all the things that sort of, I would say, can connect to the platforms and grow beyond what we have imagined.
Okay, thank you very much. We have many areas of newly emerging space frontiers and space technologies, and so we could find even in underdeveloped countries, they can access the space technologies, and they will have a chance to develop their own business.
Right.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Well,
Dr.
certainly. I mean, look, okay, first of all, with respect to Korea, foster a vibrant entrepreneurial space sector. Don't try to do this all government top down. Government needs to be involved, needs to help this. Okay, you know, SpaceX, Axiom, they all get a significant part of their business from the government, okay? And it has helped them grow. But now these companies are going to help the government do what it needs to do much more cheaply than it ever could have done, just taking advantage of the level of innovation that comes from the NASA centers, which is much less than from entrepreneurial companies. Now, The other thing this entrepreneurial space revolution has done is it has opened up space to people from every country. For example, one of the entrepreneurial space companies that has reached orbit was not founded by a billionaire. Rocket Lab was founded by working engineers with middle-class means who managed to find investors. They've reached orbit, and in fact, they're very soon going to be launching planetary missions to Venus and Mars. And that is a New Zealand company. New Zealand doesn't even have a space program. And it's a country with an economy that is a small fraction of Korea's economy. Okay, it's created a launch system, because of an entrepreneurial effort. So there's certainly entrepreneurial talent here in Korea that can pull together technical talent and create a variety of entrepreneurial efforts, including launch companies, spacecraft companies, space instrument companies, space propulsion companies, space power companies, all this sort of thing. It's up for grabs. It's up for grabs. And it doesn't matter. If New Zealand can reach orbit, Mexico should be able to reach orbit, and Chile should be able to reach orbit. And if the United Arab Emirates can send a spacecraft to Mars, which they have done, then why not Korea? And that's another thing, okay? While you should encourage an entrepreneurial space sector, the national government should identify major projects that it can have these companies compete for, such as probes to Mars, okay? China has landed a rover on Mars. China can't build a smartphone. So why can China land a rover on Mars and Korea can't? Well, you can. And great countries do great things, so you should do it.
Okay, thank you very much for your the excellent ideas. Yes, nowadays it's the competition of the ideas and challenging spirit, not the competition with the hardwares. Yeah, so especially today we have many high school students here, and then they have so probably hope for the space engineers, scientists, and entrepreneurs. Yeah. Okay. And then we have the time around 20 minutes, so a little bit more questions. Yeah, we should go. The other question is that the many experts commonly mention the prospect of space manufacturing, utilizing space microgravity environments such as human organ growth using stem cell, which grows fast in microgravity, and high performance semiconductor production by mixture of special materials which could not be branded on Earth, and also pharmaceuticals for incurable disease through precise chemical reaction and perfect crystal growth in space. Extra. My opinion, if some of these space products would be realized, that could become the game changer of space utilization economy. How do you think about the possibilities? So, Executive Chairman Kam Gaparian, do you have ideas?
Yeah, it's a great question. Let me just give you a couple of examples to elaborate. We know that when we go to space, aging gets accelerated very slightly. We know that for a fact. So because we know that, now we're working with a medical research organization in the United States to actually study slowdown of aging or even reversal of aging. Because we know that the aging gets accelerated, and by knowing that, maybe we can be closer to do that. We also have found that maybe the acceleration of aging might have something to do with our T cells. Well, also, cancer has something to do with T cells. So there may be a possibility that through microgravity research, that we might actually find cure for cancer. You also mentioned, maybe bioprinting as a way to do that in space because of the microgravity environment. I mentioned earlier abilities to bring corneas, retinas, and many other parts as the bioprinting technology grows, and we can maybe utilize the microgravity environment to do that. You also mentioned semiconductors to be able to do that, maybe some sort of fiber optics to be able to do that. STEM research is, these are all different areas that, the microgravity is perfect to do it, and potentially you can make it economically viable to be able to do that. And as the transportation cost comes down, these technologies even become more viable to be able to do it in space.
Okay, thank you very much. We can expect the more challenging areas of the space business and space manufacturing. Yeah. Okay, this question goes to the Dr. Robert Juberin. This century would be called the century of space exploration, same as the medieval, the age of discovery, the great voyage. In this September, there will be the first launch of Artemis 1. It is the start flare of global-scale manned space exploration. Also, next decade, we would expect manned Mars explorations, which would be the unprecedented large scale. What can you expect the impact on human history and space economy and our future life? And what would be the risk and dangers of the long period of space flight, such as from space radiation? How could we cooperate globally, including Russia and China, if we would discover the signs of the life on Mars? What is the importance and consequences of that discovery? So many questions.
Okay, there's a lot of questions there. I'll try to answer the parts of it, at least some parts of it. Look, we are living at the beginning of history. Okay, about 30 years ago, there was a philosopher. He wrote a book that was a very good selling book, but was completely wrong. It was called The End of History, in which he said, okay, we finally have done it. We have achieved everything important that has been achieved, and here we are at the end of history. Enjoy it. You can enjoy all the great accomplishments that have been done to get you to where you are, but there's nothing more to do. And well, he was completely wrong. And future ages will look back at this time with wonder, because this is when we first set sail to other worlds. If we do what we can do in our time, which is establish those first human footholds on the moon and Mars, then humanity becomes a spacefaring species. And 500 years from now, there will be new branches of human civilization, new nations, not only on the moon and Mars, but on thousands of planets orbiting stars in this region of the galaxy. New nations, new civilizations, new languages, new literatures, new forms of government, innumerable contributions to science and technology, new heroes, new tales of great deeds that will inspire people to go further. Okay, but they will look back on this time with wonder, because this is when we first set sail to make that possible. Okay, so this is the impact of this. This is the most important thing going on in the world today. Okay, and you here, especially the many young people here, are enormously privileged to be living right at this time when you can be not only present at the creation, but one of the creators. Now, you brought up China and Russia. Now, there's two aspects to this space thing. One is the present, in which space actually is decisive in preserving free societies, because it puts a premium on technological creativity. The reason why Ukraine is being able to resist Russia right now is because of precision-guided weapons, which are enabled by GPS satellites, which are in space. This is what is holding the line right now. And in general, the advanced technology favors more advanced cultures, those capable of technological innovation. But also, it's more important than that. Because, you see, what is this thing that caused all the global catastrophes of the 20th century, the giant wars? It was this belief that there isn't enough here for everyone. And so we have to take it from them. So you have the Germans looking at the Russians and saying, who's going to get Eurasia, us or them? It's going to be one of us. Should we have it out with them now or later? Well, let's do it now before they industrialize. And Japan and China, the same kind of thing. And if this kind of thinking continues, we may very well have a major catastrophic war in the 21st century. But we can undermine this point of view by making it clear that it's not true that there's only so much to go around, that the Earth actually has infinite resources because it comes with an infinite sky, and that by working together we can throw it wide open. And so there's no point killing each other, fighting over provinces, when by working together we can open up planets. So by creating a future of plenty, of unlimited resources, of unlimited space, we can destroy the imperative for war. We can create a positive future. So space is key to defending ourselves now before we have that kind of future, but then creating that kind of future when people won't have to worry about defense because there'll be no one out to kill them, because there's no reason to try to rob other people if you already have everything you need.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Do you have a?
Yeah,
okay.
May I just add to that just for a minute? I founded a new institute in 2020 called Limitless Space Institute for human interstellar travel. And the whole idea behind this is to really inspire the next generation, especially people who are in this audience, to think beyond our solar system, to think new physics, new technologies, new propulsion, for us to be able to go to other stars, just like Robert was talking about. The universe is so vast. If you just look at the pictures that was developed recently by James Webb Space Telescope, it's all available online, you see how vast the universe is. If we just leave our solar system and we go to our galaxy, which is called Milky Way, the distance from one point of our galaxy across to the other point is 100,000 light years. Okay, 100. So if you go with the speed of light, it takes 100,000 years to just go from one point of our galaxy to another. And mind you, that's speed of light, I think is 1,348,000 kilometers per second. So it's quite fast, right? And then if we leave our galaxy, now we know that there are trillion other galaxies, and each one with billions of stars in them, right? I personally believe that is statistically improbable that we're the only one in this universe. Just trying to go to our closest star, Proxima Centauri, which is 4.25 light years, with our current technology, I'm talking about with the fission surface power, nuclear power, that today we have available, it would take 2,000 years to go 4.25 light years. If we're able to develop a fusion technology, we reduce that to maybe 100 years. So your generation, the one that was in this room, are the people who can actually develop these new technologies for humankind finally to go to its ultimate destination, to stars. And the universe is incredibly vast. So yes, I think we are at an incredible moment in history with a clean slate where we can really drive where we want to go for humankind.
Okay, thank you very much, both of you. The universe, the space has infinite resources.
Yes.
And then if we get into the space, we should change our way of life. And then also different type of government and whole systems. Probably it gives us the clues for the solving nowadays the wars and the conflict. Yeah. Okay. This question goes to the head of Asia Pacific, the Mr. Pellissier. Recently, it draws great attention to constellation operation of many small satellites for communication and space internet services, such as OneWeb and SpaceX Starlink program. It would revolutionize the way of satellite mass production and communication and internet services. What do you expect changes on space economy and our daily life? Yeah, they kind of the huge constellation of operations. Yeah.
Well, thanks. Thanks for the question. So first, it has been really disrupting the industry itself when the very first constellation was announced. Being at Airbus, we are very proud to have taken the willingness to partner with OneWeb and build a satellite in mass, as you say, in mass production. That was really something that we were not used to at Airbus. We were used to build telecommunication satellite over more than 3 years for a dedicated mission. And after only 4 or 5 years, when we engaged with OneWeb satellite, we had to build actually 2 satellites per day. And so it is a challenge that we have taken and which we are today achieving. Today we are out of our factories in Florida building 2 satellites per day, which are launched regularly through in space. So it has been definitely a game changer for our industry, and with a lot of derivatives out of it. And that's for us in the Earth observation domain. Linked to all the constellations that we are building, actually a very good basis, again, to reduce the price of constellations in Earth observation as well, taking the initiative and opportunity to use the same bus platform and build on derivatives. So it has been first disruptive in the market, but at the end of the day, a game changer for our industry. And this is just the beginning. I think the Earth observation segment is the one changing the most right now, with a lot of entrepreneurs as well in many countries building small satellites. And for us, it's a new type of business as well. Very proud to take benefit of this platform that we have built for OneWeb, which can be reused in other domains, in optical, radar, or whatever are the payloads that we can put on. So that's as regards the industry, but I think it has been also a game changer for the market itself. When you look at the telecommunication operators, we are used as well to go for geosatellite market. They have been a bit disrupted. They did not invest a lot in the years 2015, 2020 in new satellites, simply because everybody is waiting to see what will be the effectiveness of this constellation of satellite, which is very capital demanding. So there will not be so many players all over the world with the ability to build such a big constellation. And for us, again, we had to adapt to this market disruption by putting in orbit now new satellites, which are what we call flexible satellite, meaning it's, I would say, in between, if I want to generalize here, in between the constellation and the dedicated mission for telecommunication satellite, we are building now satellites which are more standardized, which we can plan as slot as we are building airplanes, and which are equipped with a software payload which can be then modified along the life of a satellite. So that's now coming in the market. We have not yet delivered the very first one, but the market has taken some I would say, decision to go into those flexible satellites in the past 2 years, and it will be also a game changer in the telecommunication market.
Okay, thank you very much. We expect the new technologies and entrepreneurs and industries to provide the cheap space internet and communications, and then it can change our daily life more easier and cheaper, and then also safe. Yeah. And then the other question goes to the Executive Chairman Kam Gaparian. Nowadays, space tourism is the most popular item for ordinary people, but we know that there are safety issues because of delay of safety confirmation from FAA for commercial flight of Virgin Galactic, and also a couple of days ago, Blue Origin's New Shepard has some kind of failure. Yeah. Would you tell us the prospect of space tourism and what should we do more for the safety? Yeah.
Yes. So first thing is, we're sort of at the beginning of the journey, not the middle, not the end, right? And if you sort of even look at the airline industry, you know, there were some rough patches on early days, and now we can comfortably get on our plane and feel safe that we can go from one place in the world to another, right? And so we're sort of beginning on this journey, and it's a process, and every process has a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? And so we're at the beginning of that process. But things are, you know, getting better on a regular basis. Even the example that you gave with the New Shepard, the capsule aborted safely and came back down. That was, you know, incredible that happened even though the rocket exploded. So I think that's really good. Also, SpaceX has been able to take a crew safely and cargo to space on a regular basis. So I think that's been incredible, and it's growing, and every day is getting better. You know, when I sort of think about in the United States and early days as we were going more and more toward the west part of the country, there were rough patches. It wasn't an easy road. There were a lot of things that we needed to overcome. But we got there boldly, and you know, and we were able to succeed. And I think with the same thing with the space industry, we cannot go into this with fear. We have to go with enthusiasm and with boldness, go forward, and of course, on a regular basis, figure out what's wrong and make it better. You know, and if you sort of look at many of the things that have safety issues, whether are cars with seat belts, or again, airlines and many other things, we have learned over the years to develop better system, better technologies to make it safer for humankind. And I think the space economy is growing by leaps and bounds, and it's growing very rapidly, and you know, every day we're going to find new ways to make it safer and better.
Okay, thank you very much. I think there are a lot of high school students, and then the Korea, we have tradition to once or twice for 3 years of high school days, school traveling. So go to Jeju Island, or even some school go to Japan and China, but someday go to space using the spacecraft. Yeah, yeah. Okay, we have one or more minute. So last question would be this century, humankind is confronted with the danger from global warming and weather changes. What do you think about the role of space technologies to dealing with it? Any panelists have ideas? Yeah. Okay.
Well, once again, global warming is real. It's a problem. I think the answer for it is nuclear power. But the answer for all of the problems facing the world today is technological progress. Technological progress is why we live today better than people did 100 years ago, and it's why people 100 years ago lived much better than people did 1,000 years ago. And a space program is an enormous engine for developing intellectual talent in science and engineering, et cetera. And you know, the United States doubled its number of science graduates during the Apollo program because it said to every young person, learn your science and you can be an explorer of new worlds. That's in fact why I became a scientist. And I'm a little unusual in my generation is that I actually ended up working in the space program. The rest of them went off and built Silicon Valley and did lots of other stuff like that. But that's great. And by developing this intellectual capital, we can solve all these problems. But furthermore, by looking up, we can understand that we don't need to fight it out down here, okay? Which is the biggest threat that we face of all. But once again, it can be solved simply by understanding that the Earth is in space, okay? We're part of it. And we just need to go out into it. And there's all the room out there for everyone. There's all the possibilities out there for everyone. There's no limit to resources so long as there's no limit to thinking.
Okay, thank you very much. So now it's time to closing our discussions. It's our great pleasure and honor to invite the world famous entrepreneurs, top managers, and scholars. And also, I'm also one of the audience to enjoying your, hearing your answerings, like as the high school young people. Okay, thank you very much again. And then please give the big claps to the audience, the panelists.
Thank you again to the moderator and the speakers. Next, conversation with Tony Fernandes. Business in the post-pandemic world session will begin at 3:30 p.m. So please return to the Seoul by 3:25. Thank you. We'll now begin the session, Conversation with Tony Fernandes, Business in the Post-Pandemic World. With Dr. Kim Dae-kwan, Professor of College of Hotel and Tourism of Kyung University, will moderate this session. Dr. Kim Dae-kwan is a professor of the College of Hotel and Tourism of Kyung University, Republic of Korea. He served as a dean of the College of Hotel and Tourism and a dean of the Graduate School of Tourism at Kyung University. He was a president of Korea Culture and Tourism Institute, the only government research institute that conducts policy research in the fields of culture, art, tourism, and contents in Korea. Dr. Kim was a Director General of Tourism and Leisure Policy Bureau, Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism, Republic of Korea. He also served as a president of Korea MICE Tourism Society. Dr. Kim was awarded official commendations by the Minister of Culture, Sports, and Tourism, by the Prime Minister, and by the President of the Republic of Korea. So, please welcome him with a big round of applause.
Thank you for a great introduction. Okay, let's get started this session. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you for attending today's World Knowledge Forum session entitled Conversation with Tony Fernandes, Business in the Post-Pandemic World. As she introduced, I'm Professor Dae-kwan Kim at Kyung University. I'm very honored to be the moderator of this wonderful session today. As you know, the COVID-19 pandemic, followed by lockdown measures around the world, had an unfavorable impact on business, especially the travel, tourism, and the hospitality industries were continuously affected by the pandemic. Over the decades, tourism has experienced continued growth and deepening diversification to become one of the fastest growing economic sectors in the world. Today, the business volume of tourism equals or even surpasses that of oil export, food products, or automobiles. Tourism has become one of the major players in international commerce and represents at the same time one of the main income sources for many developing countries. This global spread of tourism in industrialized and developed states has produced the economic and employment benefits in many related sectors, from construction to agriculture or telecommunications. The contribution of tourism to the world economy amounted to 3.5 trillion US dollars in year 2019, or 4% of world GDP, measured in tourism's direct gross domestic product. The COVID-19 pandemic cut tourism direct GDP by more than half in 2020, reducing it by 2.0 trillion US dollars to 1.8% of the world GDP. This plunge represents about 70% of the overall decline in world GDP in 2020. International tourist arrivals dropped by 73% in 2020, while export revenues from tourism declined by 63% in real terms. The loss in export revenues from international tourism is estimated at 1.1 trillion US dollar and represents 42% of total loss in international trade in year 2020. In the case of Korea, the number of outbound nationals in 2021 decreased by more than 94.8% compared to year 2019, and the number of inbound foreigners in 2021 decreased by more than 92.7% compared to 2019. Under these circumstances, all industries related to tourism are inevitably facing serious difficulties. For example, airlines, travel agencies, hotels, shopping centers, casinos, etc. were all struggled. There is a businessman who has led the company's growth despite these difficult circumstances. Capital ace Tony Fernandes is that entrepreneur. Tony Fernandes has been chosen as the winner of the ASEAN Entrepreneur Award established by the Maekyung Media Group and the ASEAN-Korean Center. He turned around the company to overcome the pandemic. Tony will talk about business in the post-pandemic world. This is a very interesting and important topic for tourism and hospitality entrepreneurs. Tony will share his experience, knowledge, and wisdom in overcoming the pandemic. After Tony's remarks, Yanolja's CEO Jong-Yoon Kim will have a discussion, and also Jong-Yoon Kim will also share his experience and knowledge on this topic. Before starting the session, I'd like to introduce the two wonderful men who will present and discuss today's topic. First, let me introduce you to Tony Fernandes. One of the Asia's most recognizable entrepreneurs, Tony Fernandes is best known for co-founding low-cost carrier AirAsia and democratizing air travel in the region. Since 2018, Fernandes has been spearheading a digital transformation of his businesses, launching AirAsia's Super App in October 2020, a comprehensive travel and lifestyle platform which offers flight, hotel, e-hailing services, food, groceries, and health products. He is currently the CEO of Capital A, an investment holding company with a diverse portfolio of synergetic businesses, including fintech, big pay, and logistic venture teleport. Next, I will introduce Mr. Kim Jong-yoon. Jong-yoon Kim leads Yanolja Company and Limited, which operates both the platform business for travel and leisure-related services and the software as a service solution business driven by Yanolja Cloud. As CEO, Mr. Kim is responsible for the overall strategy and business performance of Yanolja Company Limited and Yanolja Cloud. Jong-yoon Kim joined Yanolja Company Limited in 2015 as Chief Stats Officer, and in 2021, was elevated to CEO of the Yanolja Company Limited. Mr. Kim added to his responsibilities in 2021, becoming the CEO of Yanolja Cloud. Prior to Yanolja Company Limited, Mr. Kim held various leadership positions with global organizations, including McKinsey and Company, Google, and 3M. Okay, let's start with Tony's presentation on business in the post-pandemic world. He will also deliver his great experience of overcoming pandemic. Okay, Tony, your turn.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I see a lot of school kids here. Before I started AirAsia, actually, I was in the music business and I worked with JYP and YG. I did music for 12 years and I had the idea of setting up an airline. So in 2001, 21 years ago, I moved from music to the airline business, bought over an airline with 2 planes, 200 staff, and about $10 million of debt. We grew amazingly. In the 21 years, we went from 2 planes to 220 planes, from 200,000 passengers to 90 million passengers just before COVID started, and went from 200 staff to 21,000 staff, and have won the world's best low-cost carrier 12 years in a row. At 90 million passengers, we were the 4th largest airline in Asia. Only the 3 Chinese airlines were bigger than us. And so it was an incredible story, and I see so many young people here. You can do anything you want to do if you put your mind to it. One minute I was recording music, the next minute I was running an airline. So really you can live your dreams. And then COVID grounded us. I want everyone to imagine a business that had 21,000 staff, carrying 90 million people and 200 planes, and suddenly 0. We had 200 planes all on the ground, stuck, and no revenue. So for the last 2.5 years, until very recently, we have only flown about 20 planes, 10% of our fleet. And I see someone from Airbus here, and we bought another 500 planes. So suddenly it was like nightmare situation, something you see in a movie. I had been through SARS, bird flu, tsunamis, earthquakes, and I thought I had seen everything, but then COVID came. And I think the airline business was probably the worst business affected in COVID. And so what did we do during that period? We innovated. Rather than cry and sit and do nothing, we decided to use our data and our people, which I'll talk about, and created this whole new group of companies from an airline. We went and saw what the great stuff Jung Yoon has done, I call him James, at Yanolja, and thought, well, we could do that in Southeast Asia. And we created a super app of travel, very similar to Yanolja, but we also did food delivery, and like Kakao Taxi, we followed that as well from our website. We went and created an aviation services group, which is using data, probably one of the best engineering companies around ADE, and a food company, and even started restaurants using our airline food. We now have 15 restaurants in Southeast Asia, and ground handling. We went and created Big Pay, which is very similar to Kakao Bank, now the #1 leading fintech company in Southeast Asia. And then built a cargo airline. We had never done cargo before, and created First Mile and Last Mile. So in the 2.5 years, rather than do nothing, we used data, we used our incredible staff to go and build 6 new businesses. And that allowed us to survive during COVID. And slowly we are coming back. We've just launched our flights back to Korea now. Our flights to Bangkok are full,
and Kuala Lumpur is also doing very well, and we're going to launch Busan very soon. And yesterday was an incredible day for me. We had more sales. We sold 250,000 seats in one day, which was more than what we sold in COVID time, which was incredible because we haven't got all our planes back in operation. Of our 205 planes, we're now flying 115 planes. So it shows you that you can bounce back very, very quickly. And low fares are stimulating people to fly. People still want to fly. And then we went and created a whole lot of new stuff with our super app. What if this is the same presentation? Is this a different one? Okay, so anyway, that's a different presentation. But like Yanolja, we took our data and went and created flights and hotels and Snap and all kinds of things. We took basically an airline website and made it a travel agency. We looked at the great stuff Yanolja and Expedia and Traveloka and said we can do that. So we're the first airline where we're actually selling other people's tickets. You can buy Korean Air on AirAsia, you can buy Jeju Air on us, and it was something that had never been done before. We also sell hotels now, we do food delivery, we do ride hailing, and this is what we created out of really nothing. You know, I want to kind of wake everyone up a little bit. Who wants to fly to Bangkok? Okay. Wow, that's a lot of people. First one to run up to this stage now can get a free ticket to Bangkok. Okay, he won. But you're cute, you can stay. You two can stay. What's your name?
Kovin.
Kovin?
Kovin, yeah.
You want to go to Bangkok or Kuala Lumpur?
Kuala Lumpur.
Okay. See that woman there, and you can get a free ticket.
Oh, thank you.
Are you married or single?
I have a partner. Yeah.
You have a partner?
Yeah.
Woman or man?
Woman.
You can take her with you.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good time.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Junyong.
Junyong?
Yes.
How old are you? Check with the translator. Huh? 14? Are you married? No. Not yet? No, okay. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go?
Hawaii.
Hawaii? Ask him. You want to go to Malaysia or Thailand? Malaysia? Okay, you want to go with your parents? Yeah? Okay, you can go. You got a cap? Oh, don't. Stay up, stay up. Stay here, come up here. Give me another one. There you go. Take a picture. What's your name?
Maekyung.
Maekyung. How old are you?
14.
14. Oh, you're taller than him. What's the name of your school?
Serenang Christian.
Serenang Christian School. Very good. Hello, everyone. Where do you want to go?
Moon.
Moon?
Yes.
Then speak to Airbus guy. Or speak to my friend Richard Branson. I can't do that at the moment. So you have to pick Thailand or Malaysia. Malaysia. Okay, there you go. Are you married?
I want to go.
You want to be married? Okay, find someone there. Okay, you can take your parents as well to Malaysia. All right, go and see that woman over there. One of those women, and they will sort you out. Okay? Oh, picture. Have fun. Invite me to your school. Take care. Are they going to put up the real presentation? Are they putting up the real presentation? Like now? Otherwise, I'm ended. All right, anyway. There was a presentation. I own a football club in London called Queen's Park Rangers. And my captain, my first captain that helped me build this airline was Ji-sung Park, who is my very good friend. And I wanted to say that I shall ask him to come to your school as well. But Ji-sung helped us. I wanted to say that during delayed translation. So I made him the first captain of an English Premier League team. He was the first Korean to be captain of an English Premier League team. And I wanted to say before I finish and hand over to my good friend Maekyung Olja is basically what made us survive was branding and people. And so all of you are going to be future leaders. Whenever you build your company, make sure you save some money for branding, because with our brand, we were able to go and build lots of other companies during COVID. And then make sure you have the best people in your company. I have people who started with me carrying bags who are now pilots. I have people who are cabin crew who are now CEOs. So these are the two assets AirAsia had during COVID, which enabled us to survive COVID. So finally, I want to tell you all, oh, there we go. There's my good friend, Mr. Park. And I want to say to you before I finish, you know, many of you are going on to bigger careers. Always dream. It's okay to dream, because from some dreams come reality. People will laugh at you. People will say it's not possible. But if you don't dream, you'll never have ambition. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do anything. Make things possible. Everyone will say it's impossible. I made AirAsia a fairy tale, from music to airlines. And so all of you can do it. And nothing will get us down. COVID, problems, there's always a way out of problems. Don't let people get you down with problems. Thank you for listening to me, and for the rest of your life, make sure you only fly on AirAsia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. Maybe the boys has the greatest, wonderful day
Thank you.
for their whole life. Yeah. And maybe the other boys and girls or ladies and gentlemen here, you may have another chance to meet Tony in the very near future, and you may have any opportunity to get the ticket. Okay, hopefully. Tony explained his company and his business, and he also announced about the complex things. He made new business tools and maybe his future business opportunities. Okay, next I will give the microphone to Jong-Yoon. He will discuss and share his experience on the topic. Okay, Jong-Yoon, it's your turn.
Tony, thank you for sharing your insight. It's great transformation during the COVID-19, I think. In case of ASEAN, despite the COVID-19, comparing to the pre-COVID-19, we made the 4x growth during the 2.5 years. And I think our strategy has been quite similar with what the AirAsia has done. First, super app. During the COVID-19, demands for the travel has been decreased a lot. So if we cannot optimize the LTV, lifetime value, for the customer, it's impossible to make money itself. So to make the right solution to justify the cost to acquire the new customer, we try to maximize the lifetime value per one customer through the super app strategy. So before COVID-19, we have sold mostly the accommodation and transportation mostly. But during COVID-19, Yanuja has been number one for every kind of the leisure or travel-related industry. For example, the exhibition, leisure, and musical, concert, and F&B, and so on. So for many kinds of the categories, we try to maximize the inventory and categories at our super app, and we try to cross-sell our category inventories for one customer. The other solution comes from the cloud solution. As the demands has been decreased a lot, the suppliers like a hotel or the airlines have been having the difficulties to operate the business itself. So without cutting the cost, it's impossible to operate their business. So we try to provide the cloud solution for the hotel and the other suppliers for the travel and leisure can cut the cost for their operation and distribute their inventories. So with our cloud solution, at a low cost, the supplier can enjoy low cost for their operation. So with lower number of the operators, they can, at least, they don't have to shut down their business. Instead, they can maintain their business quite meaningfully. In that sense, we can have quite more the suppliers during the COVID-19. So compared to pre-COVID-19, we can double the number of our suppliers for our business.
Thank you, Jong-yoon. Okay, thank you, Jong-yoon. I think Tony and Jong-yoon, both of you should work together for better life of the people in the world.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
Great.
We're going to do some things together.
Actually,
in the not-too-distant
you
future.
guys had the same thing in each field, but also you have the same things in the business. So if you make some kind of the business together, maybe we can fly to farther, or we can fly frequently with the cheaper price, and we can make some very better circumstance of our leisure activity or living in the overseas countries or whatever. Yeah. Okay. I prepared the very brief questions for you guys, and each of the same questions about your presentation and discussion, and also your experience. What has been the most difficult things for you to overcome the pandemic, and what has been the most concerned about? Okay, Tony, you first, please.
Yeah, I think that the toughest part of COVID was governments. During this period, governments were not very decisive on what they were going to do. Every country had different policies. Every country, for instance, had different quarantine rules. Even today, coming to Korea, you still need a PCR test. I think that's ridiculous. That after so many years, Korea, you still need a PCR test. And in Korea, the people who give you the PCR test, it's the most painful in the world. It's like they're putting it so far up to see where your brain is. So please, next time you do it, please be gentle on me. But, you know, even today, we have 4 or 5 countries which have quarantine for travelers. So my biggest issue was governments and politicians who didn't make the right decision because they were scared to sometimes. And I think COVID showed leadership was sometimes weak. I know that's a strong statement, but it's real, and it was very hard for businesses to run during COVID because there was inconsistency in rules. And the second thing during COVID was the unknown. Just when you think it was going to end, another virus came. You know, Alpha, Beta, Delta, you know, it just kept going on. Omicron. I've had COVID 5 times. Every alphabet is in my body. A, B, D, whatever. Only Omicron, I had some symptoms. They make us very hard in Malaysia. So those 2 things were the toughest thing, you know, and I appeal to politicians and leaders to be firm and consistent, put people first, and put people's balance. There's always a balance.
Okay, the government, our policies, and the other one is unknown things. For these two things are the externals.
Yeah, if you told me that COVID was going to last 2 years, and actually it didn't last 2 years everywhere. In some countries, after 1 year, they opened up and said, this is endemic, we have to live with COVID. In some countries, there's still lockdown. So as an airline, or travel business, it was very, very hard. And then, you know, SOPs, which made no sense. You know, wear masks inside, outside no masks. Some countries don't need masks. It's really inconsistent.
Okay, actually I worked for the government for several years.
So is it your fault?
I'm sorry, I'm very sorry. Yeah, whenever I meet policemen and government officers, I always emphasize that please release all regulation for the businesses. Actually, under the COVID-19 circumstance, I think we don't have the regulation about the PCR for the foreigners or even the nationals.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, most people in Korea have had COVID already. You know, there's about 26 million people in Korea who've had COVID. So to test a foreigner to come in for COVID at 80,000 won, it's not cheap either. Makes no sense to me.
Actually, as all of you know that the tourism or travel industry is the moving industry. We have to move from A to B for our pleasures. So if we have some kind, if any government have some kind of regulation or prohibit to moving, the industry will go out.
Correct.
Okay. It's a very important thing, Tony. Thank you very much. And the next, Jong-Yun, would you let us know what's the concern about the pandemic or what's the very important things you should do?
Sure. As I told you, we made 4x growth during the COVID-19. Thanks to the growth, we can be global top 5, the travel company. But we made this growth from the digital transformation, the data technology. But in terms of the data technology, so many countries would like to regulate the digital business. So it's very difficult to make another innovation to be global #1, for example. So I think we need to think about the data-related regulation again, because digital transformation should be made with the data. And if with the regulation, we can have any chance to be global #1, because we need to wait for one of the samples or cases from the other foreign countries. It's ridiculous. Also, you know, the 10% out of global GDP has been made from the travel industry. 10%. So every country would like to boost up the travel business. The problem is that, as Tony mentioned, uncertainty is the big hurdle to make the growth. At the same time, the net zero, ESG, is another uncertain hurdle we need to overcome. Out of total the carbon emission, 8% comes from the travel industry. So without the solution to solve the carbon emission issues in the travel sector, I think it's very difficult to let each country to lead the growth in this industry, even though travel industry is very important to grow the country's GDP, to make the older people have the better life. So I think the net zero solution from the DX or the technology should be prepared to make another level up in this travel sector.
Okay, they mentioned different things, but I think it's the same. First one, Jong-hyun said about the technology, and also there are some kind of difficulties because of the regulation. It's the same things about the regulation about moving from people A to people B. So we need to emphasize to the government side or parliament to make the barrier free of the business for every businessman and for every companies. And the other one, he also mentioned about the climate change and carbon emissions. Also, you know that we have the serious problem with the climate change in the world, I mean the Earth. But we have to keep our standard to emit the carbon. But each, we have to pay the cost. So each both pro and con. So we need to think about the strength and the threatening and weakness of the climate change or carbon emission in tourism businesses and tourism company. One of the solutions can be the ESG, but I don't know what we can make that. Because ESG also, we should have to pay the cost. So that means the customer should pay the higher prices. Okay, we have a little bit time to receive the question from the audience. If you have any questions or any things to know from both Tony and Jong-hyun, please raise your hand. Okay, and please let us know your name and your affiliation. Yeah. You. The microphone, if you. Okay, please let us know your name and your affiliation, please.
Sure. My name is Jung-woo Kim. I also go by Julian. My question is actually around the outlook of the industry in terms of the business travelers. There is an opinion from the market saying that one of the changes after the COVID is that the business travelers, the number of business travelers will continue to decline, driven by the sort of fact or experience that they can conduct daily business activities without traveling through the online platforms such as Zoom and Microsoft Teams. So I was just wondering about your opinion on the future outlook of the business travelers, which also takes a significant portion of the tourism industry as well.
Yeah, I think Tony, you should.
Yeah, so for me, there's no doubt intercontinental business travel will definitely go down in the short term. But like, we're not an airline that carries a lot of business travelers, though short haul, we probably do carry a lot. I think intercontinental, because fares are very high now with oil price, business travel will be limited. But I don't think it will last long. You can do so much on Zoom. Meeting people, I mean, coming to Seoul here, you accomplish a lot more and meet new people that you wouldn't have even met through conferences like this, etc. So I think that in a period of 1 or 2 years, business travel will return to what it used to be. In the short term, I think intercontinental business travel will definitely decrease. But humans need interaction, and you can't get that on Zoom. So eventually, you can see 100 videos of Seoul. There are thousands of videos on YouTube telling you about Seoul, but that doesn't replace coming to Seoul, right? You can watch 100 videos of Blackpink, but when you go to Teddy Park Studio, Black Label, and meet them, it's completely different from watching the videos. So business travel will come back for sure. In the short term, there'll be a little bit of a decline, but it will come back.
Okay, Jong-yun, you have any idea?
I think the daily business communication can be covered by the video conference, I think. But in case of the remote work, I think Zoom make the more business travel or more personal travel during the business. Because, have you heard about the vacation? Vacation means that we don't have to stay in the office. We can move to anywhere during the business. So I think, as of now, the Zoom is not replaced with the business travel. Instead, Zoom make all the employees be free from the offline location. Instead, we can move to anywhere and we can enjoy the work and life both during the work. So I think there's no correlation between the use of the Zoom and the business travel.
Thank you.
Okay, it's a very, very interesting questions, and they answered about the question. Also, Jong-yun mentioned the vacation is a very branding new terms in tourism field. It's work and vacation. In the past, we mentioned about the work and leisure together, or business and leisure together. We said pleasure. But nowadays, we are concerning and we are emphasizing on the vacation. So work and vacation and pleasure and leisure activities like that. So I think all of you can to enjoy the vacation during your business time. Okay, we spend all the time we already got, and we need to close this session. Before to close this session, I would like to suggest give the Tony to the big hand for he received the big award today, ASEAN Business Entrepreneurs Award, right?
Yeah, Entrepreneur Award.
Okay, the correct title is ASEAN Entrepreneur Award. Yeah, please give him the big hand. Please give him.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, also, I'd like to ask you to big hand to Tony and Jong-yun for their presentation and discussion. Okay, let's close the session. Okay, have a nice day, everybody. Thank you. Okay,
Thank you once again to the moderator and
together.
speakers. This ends all the sessions of the second day of the World Knowledge Forum 2022. Thank you for being with us until the end. Tomorrow, a feast of various knowledge by domestic and foreign scholars will be held. We hope many of you will participate. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
잠시 안내 말씀드립니다. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the session. And after the session, a dinner will be held. We would like to ask everyone to please take your personal belongings and exit the venue as quickly as possible. Thank you for your cooperation.